What the deal, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 2Rich2Miss Unscripted. You are now tuned into your host, Mr. 2Rich, your southern urban voice, the hottest voice in cryptocurrency right now. And as you can see, in spite of the markets, we are still got some green. The big boy Bitcoin is still doing what it do. It's just like I said in the title of this one. If the market drops, it's a buying opportunity. So don't sweat the small stuff. If your candidate didn't win, or depending on what they say is going on, I don't know. We're going to go through and talk about it very briefly. In the midst of our update today, we will be talking about the DeFi market and what's going on over there with UMA and with Paxil. We got some things going on. And like I said, Bitcoin doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what's going on with the politics and the political situation. It's not going to, if it affects the market, if it affects our market negatively, and we get a dip, buy the dip. You feel me? Buy the dip and accumulate. Because if you're on a long-term horizon, it's going to all work out for you. Ethereum 2.0 is coming on around the mountain, so be wary and mindful of that. DYOR Ethereum is undervalued, but you don't hear me though. And then we'll of course be talking about PayPal. It is expanding its plans for its cryptocurrency business outreach that it's going to be doing. So we got all of that and a little commentary along the way with the market in green and still some red and some discounts going on. You know how we get down over here. The only real color that matters is green. Let's get it. Welcome to 2Rich2Miss Unscripted with your host, the Southern Urban Voice, Mr. 2Rich. And this show is about providing you with cryptocurrency and digital asset news, education, and tips that you can use as you take this wild and exciting journey into crypto. And as always, remember, the only real color that matters is green. Let's get it. Whatever your podcast and whatever flavor, genre, or mood you're looking for, I have got the perfect podcast intro for you. Respect the streets. Down, set, time out podcast. The Dedicate 24 podcast. This is the Pod Behavior podcast with the Spoken Word Poetry podcast. Be sure to click on the link that is in the description and get your order placed today. Hint, hint, it's a great deal going down on Fiverr.com/Richard Hawks 2. Let's get it. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for coming here and being with us today. Be sure to support the businesses that we shout out. It does support the channel, and it supports a great business. But let's get right into it and talk about the markets today. We got the big boy Bitcoin doing his thing. We're still in the red, 13.688, 13.6991 as we're recording right now. It's just kind of hanging out in this little area. It tried to go up and break 14,000 and got rejected, came back down. If you're dollar cost averaging in, it's all good. It's business as usual. Nothing major to report here other than the fact that we got Ethereum that's still undervalued, $308 right now. The altcoin forest got a mixture of green and red over there. There's still some good deals over there in the altcoin forest if you want to look around over there. And it's I'm pretty conservative, and with the things that I talk about over here, DCA is the way, and be sure to always DYOR. Now, and obviously the elephant in the room is the election. And when we're talking about the election, I honestly just went up and just Googled election results because at the end of the day, no matter which way it goes, if the market dips, buy the dip. If we get any type of rejections, or if whatever your bearish theories and thoughts may be, Whatever you think may happen. If you think Biden is going to cause the market to tank, buy the dip. If you think Trump is going to cause the market to dip, buy the dip. Whatever your thoughts may be. But in this fourth quarter, there's definitely going to be some volatility going around. So look for these solid projects, DCA into solid projects, and always DYOR, okay? Buy the dip, DYOR, and keep it moving. What's going on in the election is not going to make too much of a difference in what's going on in crypto, especially when you're talking about the long-term perspective. Let's go over and talk about DeFi Pulse for a moment. We've been going down at about $11 billion right now. Been kind of going, we dropped a little bit from the 12 billion that we were at a few days ago. But once again, I said it once, I'm gonna say it again, which leads me into the first story that I'm going to kind of brief over and talk about. UMA introduces developer mining to help bolster DeFi innovators. Now, long story short here, this is one of those articles that you want to go through and look at yourself. But I'll give you the overview and the short version of it all here. There's a lot happening over here in the DeFi space. And the first thing that has to happen in the midst of building up building up the whole network and building up the infrastructure is there needs to be more developers over there in the space and more motivated developers over there. So UMA is introducing this program to bring more developers onto the space, obviously onto their particular chain. Not recommending them at all. They didn't sponsor this video or anything, but they are doing the necessary thing that's proper to be able to get more people into the space so that we can get some more development, get that infrastructure and that base laid, so that some of the nonsense and riffraff can kind of be kicked out and go by the wayside, and the stronger projects can prevail. So DYOR over into that project if you so desire. Not recommending it. I don't own any UMA. It's just a illustration that you need to be keeping your eyes on what's happening over in the DeFi space. There are things moving over there, and if your risk is kind of high, then you can go over there and deal with and go and jump all in. Now if we're going a little bit forward, Paxil to boost financial inclusion with his first crypto debit card. You're going to start to see more of this going on right now. This goes right along in line with the mass adoption that's happening right now. It is here. I mean, it's not full blown, but all of the blocks are really laying out for the retail investor to be able to get in here and make it easy for you to use and move your funds from an exchange over onto a debit card and be able to use those funds as you see fit. This just kind of goes to show you need to be DYORing into this market to get in where you can fit in before all of the good gains are sucked up and gone away. But that's all right. I'll be over here to scoop up the coins that you don't want. Now, as I was kind of talking about right here, Rod, this article talks about the traders. Now, if you're a trader, then volatility is a wonderful thing for you, right? So if you're a trader and you love this volatility, the uncertainty in the market will definitely put some volatility out there for the traders to get out there and deal with and to be able to do what they do. Being from an investor standpoint, I'm looking at buying the dips on good solid projects, and there may be a few things in the altcoin forest that I mess around with, but for the most part, this election really doesn't going to do anything with us. If the dip comes, buy it. And speaking of dips, Ethereum 2.0 launch gets closer with minor code release. Now, honestly, I'm going to just tell you guys, we could go through and talk about all the ins and outs of this, and we could go through and talk about how they've been promising this for so long, and is this really the time when they let it go? Is it going to be this year? Is it not going to be this year? Here's the long and the short of it. Once Ethereum 2.0 does come about, it's definitely going to cause the Ethereum price to pump, no doubt about it. The time to really get into Ethereum, DYOR of course, but the time to get into Ethereum is now before ETH 2.0 really comes about. So the time to be DCAing into this project is now, before we get the pump, because a lot of people after E2.0 launches, and I mean, if when E2.0 launches and it scales and it does everything that it's supposed to do, I mean, oh my God, the price of Ethereum is going to go insane. So the time to DYOR into that project is now. Other than that, I mean, hey, there's a DYOR into ETH, but hey, I'm buying. And of course, we saw this coming, didn't we? Didn't we see this coming? Didn't we see it coming? PayPal, of course, they are going to expand their reach for their cryptocurrency offerings because there's been such a demand for the services already, and the services haven't even rolled out that good just yet. So this is another one of those intriguing things that just further cements the fact that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a real thing. And if you're not riding this train, you might need to check your ticket and see why you're not. But there's a lot of wonderful things happening. There's some great things going on for you to get in where you fit in this particular market. DCA is the way. And if you want to be safe, stay with the big boys and hold on. If you want to really play around in the altcoin forest, there's some things going on over there as well. But always DYOR. Don't invest in a project just because some YouTuber said it. And as always, the only real color that matters is green. Catch you on the next one. Peace.